going on, guys? Welcome back to my one and only mock draft this year, because I'm only going to make one only. But I might make a second round one soon if I want to. I'm going to make this extremely quick. The Tennessee Titans going to select Jalen Ramsey, defensive back out of FSU. There's no one else you should pick here. Jalen Ramsey is the best bet. Laremy Tunsil, you don't want to pick him. You already got Taylor Lewan, who you drafted in the top 12 like 3 years ago. And you don't want your number 1 overall pick playing right tackle for how long? You know, I don't think you want a competition there. You want someone who's going to, play right away at the position you want them to be at. So Jalen Ramsey, defensive back, you can put him at safety or corner if you want to. So that's your best bet there. Cleveland Browns select Carson Wentz, quarterback out of North Dakota State University. Carson Wentz needs to be chosen now, or Jared Goff. I can see them taking both, but I think Carson Wentz is ready now more than Jared Goff. He has the athletic ability and the height, and he can make most of his throws. He needs to work on his accuracy and hitting receivers in stride, of course, but I think Carson Wentz is the best bet there. San Diego Chargers select Laremy Tunsil, left tackle out of Ole Miss. This is the perfect match for the Chargers. They have to go offensive lineman here. In the past 2 or 3 years, they had the most offensive line changes in the NFL, along with the Colts. So you put Laremy Tunsil at left tackle, you put King Dunlap at right tackle, and now all you need to focus on is the guard positions and center. I think they had a rookie center there last year who got hurt, so they had to put more rookie centers in, so like undrafted people. So I think you gotta work on the interior after you got Laremy Tunsil, and you could focus on that in the later rounds. So Myles Jack, outside linebacker out of UCLA, going to Dallas. Nobody has Myles Jack going because you got Anthony Hitchens and you got Sean Lee at outside linebacker. But in the last 3 years, how many games has Sean Lee played? It has to be like under 20. It has to be. So, and there's only you play 16 games in a season. So, do the math. I mean, he's not on the field very often. How many times has he been checked out in a game because of injury when he is playing? So, I think you take Myles Jack here. You're gonna have to move away from Sean Lee soon. He's a great player, but the best ability is availability. So he won't be on the field too much. So that's where Myles Jack steps in. The Jacksonville Jaguars select DeForest Buckner, defensive tackle out of Oregon. I know he's more of a 3-4 defensive end, but the Jacksonville Jaguars, believe it or not, they play the 4-3 and the 3-4. So I think if you stick him in at defensive tackle, and you could put him at. That's why I have him / defensive end, because he's a big body enough to be a defensive tackle. And he's slim enough also to play defensive end. It really matters about what they want to do with him. But I think the best player on their board for their system can be DeForest Buckner, because he's that hybrid player, and he fits that hybrid defense. So the Baltimore Ravens with the 6th overall pick select Vernon Hargreaves, cornerback out of Florida. In my opinion, if Jalen Ramsey gets drafted as a safety, he is the best cornerback in this draft. He's not the tallest cornerback in this draft, but I think you could stick him at both outside, corner positions or the slot. And he may start in the slot, because you already have Ladarius Webb and Jimmy Smith. So I think he may start off in the slot, which won't be a bad position for him. But I think he's also ready to cover some number 1 corners if he really needs to. In years to come, Ladarius Webb will move on. He will retire or switch teams or whatever it is. He is getting older. And I think Jimmy Smith and Vernon Hargreaves will be a perfect tandem, to stop wide receivers. So, with the 7th overall pick, San Francisco 49ers select Jared Goff, quarterback out of California. this is probably the best bet for the 49ers, and being safe. This is probably the safest pick for them. Colin Kaepernick might be out the door to Denver, and even if he does stay, you really don't know how he's going to react or to fit inside of Chip Kelly's system. Just because Chip Kelly's system is the perfect match for Colin Kaepernick doesn't mean that it might play out that way. So you take Jared Goff here, you take the safe pick, and you move on. Philadelphia. A lot of, I can see them taking Ronnie Stanley here, but I don't really see how you can pass up on a player like Ezekiel Elliott. He's just another kind of guy. He's not, in my opinion, he's not better than Todd Gurley, and he probably won't be. And I know that's not fair to say because they're not the same kind of, they don't have the same play style. But I think I'm saying that because Todd Gurley was drafted with the 10th overall pick, and Ezekiel Elliott would be in my draft the 8th overall pick. He's not better than Ezekiel Elliott, but he's the best. He's the best talent right now at in my mock draft. He's the best talent on the board right now, and I don't see how you can pass up a player like Ezekiel Elliott when you have Ryan Matthews, who's probably going to be starting for you next year. He's great. He's not a number one back in my opinion. So I think you take Ezekiel Elliott, who, Darren Sproles is going to retire one day. He's like 33 years old already, or 34 years old already, and you're not going to have that kind of scat back that fits the system perfectly in that Philadelphia offense. So you take Ezekiel Elliott here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they select Joey Bosa, defensive end out of Ohio State. I don't have Joey Bosa high on my board because I just don't like him as a player too much, because in my opinion, he has very, he ran a great 40. That's great and all. But he has terrible play speed. He's slow off the line. Sometimes he takes plays off. He has issues off the field. All that stuff. That all comes into play. And I just don't like, he's just a power guy. He seems to me like a Clay Matthews kind of guy. He's as big as him. He just runs like him, but I don't think he's a Clay Matthews. He's just not a Clay Matthews, but he's just a power guy. That's really all he is. But don't get me wrong, he's a number 10 pick, top 10 pick for sure. But he's just not any higher than that, any higher than a top 5. So I think Tampa Bay takes Joey Bosa here. They have a clear need at defensive end. They bring in Robert Ayers. He's 30 years old now. And he's going to play well for you this year, but you need someone for the future. And if you pair up Joey Bosa with Robert Ayers, I think that'll be a perfect match. Moving on. The New York Giants, my team, they need to take linebacker Darron Lee. Is it stretching it a little bit? Sure. We're stretching it a little bit. We're reaching a little bit. In my opinion, he's probably worth the top 15, 15 to 20 pick, in my opinion. But the same thing with Eric Flowers. When we drafted him, 9th overall last year, I was like, what? But I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't understand why we took Eric Flowers. But look what happened. You can say what you want about Eric Flowers. He did great for us, and he's probably the best offensive lineman besides Justin Pugh, on that line. And what you could argue Weston Richburg, but yeah. You take Darron Lee here. You really need to. He fits the system perfectly. How Steve Spagnuolo is going to love this guy because he loves blitzing his linebackers. And also, as a 4-3 linebacker, you need to have good coverage skills. He's a 4-3 linebacker with good coverage skills, so I think you take Darron Lee here. It's pretty obvious. Chicago Bears, they select Ronnie Stanley, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. Soon, Jay Cutler will be out the door. It's going to happen sooner or later. He's getting older, and his lack of production on the Bears might get him kicked sometime. So, don't be surprised if Chicago picks up a quarterback, later in the draft. But I think they should take Ronnie Stanley here, preparing for their next quarterback. Next, New Orleans Saints select a Sean Robinson defensive tackle. Right now, they could use anybody on that line. They could use any defensive player right now. It doesn't really matter. Their defense is so bad, And I would be saying that against, the Giants' defense is so bad, but look at the player they just signed. So the Saints really haven't been making that much noise in free agency. So I think they take a Sean Robinson here. I think this is the best bet for them. I think they need help stopping the run a little bit, and I think Sean Robinson is really going to disrupt that offensive line pretty well. So, yeah, you take him here. The Miami Dolphins, they select William Jackson III, cornerback out of Houston. This guy is such an underrated cornerback. He's so lengthy, so tall. Well, I think he's like 5'11 or 6 foot or something like that. But he looks tall and he plays tall. He's very aggressive with the ball. Sure, he gets his ankles broken a few times. I've seen it happen on tape a couple times. But I think he's better than MacKenzie Alexander in my opinion. He's better man to man and a better cover corner than MacKenzie Alexander. So I think you take William Jackson here. He knows how to play the ball very well. No matter where he is on the field, if he's trailing the receiver, whether he's in front of the receiver, doesn't matter. He's always there for the ball, and that's what he goes for first. So, yeah, William Jackson III, Miami, perfect fit. Brent Grimes is out the door. You don't have Cortland Finnegan anymore. So who do you really have at corner that's really going to step up to be that number one guy? Nobody. So you need a corner here. All right. Oakland Raiders, they select Jack Conklin, offensive tackle out of Michigan State. I'm looking for, I think their biggest need right now is at the safety position, but you don't need any safety. I mean, no safety is worth a 14th overall pick in this draft. So I think you take Jack Conklin here to help Derek Carr a little bit more. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Raiders' offensive line is already beast enough with signing Osemele from the Ravens at the guard position. But if you put you have Donald Penn at left tackle, Kelechi Osemele at guard, and then they have a pretty good center and guard there too. I did this team a while ago, but yeah, Jack Conklin is just the best prospect right now for them. And I think they're gonna do better in running the ball and keeping Derek Carr afloat. You got to protect your franchise quarterback, who I think Derek Carr is going to be there for quite a while. So, Jack Conklin, that's how we do it. Los Angeles Rams selected Josh Doctson, wide receiver out of TCU, the best wide receiver in my opinion. He has the height of Laquon Treadwell. He's got the speed of Corey Coleman, and he's got the athletic ability and the route running ability as Will Fuller. I mean, he's all three of them put together. So I think you take Josh Doctson here. He's like a little bit of a gentle giant though, because he's very bad against the press, and I see it on tape a lot. So that's something he really needs to work on. He gets beat up in the press, and corners in the NFL are stronger and faster. So you gotta learn how to be, a little bit stronger and beat the press, but he's gonna do well, and I think the Rams need to take him here. Their true need right now is at quarterback, but will they take him with Jeff Fisher? No, they won't. And it sucks that Case Keenum is gonna be the starting quarterback, and all the Rams fans have to, it sucks for them. They have such a lack of talent, not a lack of production, but such great talent on that team. They're just one franchise quarterback away from shredding this league, but. Yeah. Detroit Lions, they select Eli Apple, cornerback out of Ohio State. In my opinion, they could all go offensive lineman here if Jack Conklin or I doubt Ronnie Stanley's gonna last, but if he's there too. So yeah, I think you could take an offensive lineman here, but I think Eli Apple is probably the best bet right now. The Detroit Lions are very thin at cornerback, and I think Eli Apple is a pretty good fit. There are stuff he needs to work on, but I think Eli Apple is a great fit. Atlanta Falcons select Shaq Lawson, defensive end out of Clemson. He fell in my draft a little bit, but that's not because of his ability to play as a player, but I think is because, he doesn't really fit a need in these previous teams, but I think he's really worth 10 to 15 pick. But I think I have him reuniting with his former teammate at Clemson, Vic Beasley. I think Shaq Lawson is a great defensive end, and he can play 3-4 outside linebacker as well. But I think, stick him in the 4-3, letting him play regular defensive end is probably your best bet. So, yeah, Indianapolis Colts. This is a match made in heaven right now. Indianapolis Colts select Cody Whitehair, offensive guard out of Kansas State University. They need obvious help at every single position on that offensive line, but they need to take Cody Whitehair here at guard. You have Anthony Costanzo, I think, at left tackle, I believe, and at right tackle they have the Mewhort or something like that. So I don't think you have a huge need at right tackle, at the tackle positions there, but I think you have a huge need at the guard positions. And I think you take Cody Whitehair here. He plays every single position on that offensive line, so you can stick him around anywhere you need to, because I know there will be injuries on that offensive line. So you put him in there and see what he does at whatever position you put him in. But I think Cody Whitehair is the best player for them right now. The Buffalo Bills select Taylor Decker with the 19th overall pick out of Ohio State, offensive tackle. You don't really know what's going on with Cyrus Quandro, whatever his name is, and then the other guy they drafted. So you need someone at that right tackle position, and I think they take Taylor Decker right there to shore up that offensive line and protect your quarterback Tyrod Taylor, who's can do better with a better offensive line. New York Jets select Leonard Floyd, outside linebacker out of Georgia. I know that's not their huge need right now, but I think they take him here. Remember, the draft isn't all about what you need. Sometimes it's just about the player you're most intrigued about. And I think Leonard Floyd is a good fit here. He's better off playing a 3-4 outside linebacker role, which is I would have him playing if he got drafted to the Jets. He's not going to be that number one guy that offenses are looking for, and that's a good thing because then you won't get as much double teams as you would, if you were if you were the best guy on that defense, and that belongs to Sheldon Richardson, and so you won't be the number one guy. He's going to sneak in, get a sack, he's going to sneak in, stop the run, or whatever it is. I think he's just going to be that sneaky outside linebacker that always finds himself in the middle of things. So I think you take Leonard Floyd here. I know there are some accusations that he's not going to do well because of his his strength or whatever it is. I mean, he played well in college. I know college is a whole different game in the NFL, but I think Leonard Floyd is going to do fine in the NFL. So I would take him if I were the Jets. Washington Redskins select Ryan Kelly, center out of Alabama. I can see the Washington Redskins taking a wide receiver here. And, it wouldn't be a bad thing for them. But I think they have a good need there at center. They're getting their offensive line pretty well together. Corey Lichtensteiger is a good center, but he's not getting any younger, and he's not getting any better. So I think he needs to get better with Ryan Kelly, and I think this is just a great need here at center for them. I don't really think there's another center in this draft that's worth, a second round pick, stuff like that. So, I think you take Ryan Kelly here. Houston Texans select Laquon Treadwell, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. By the way, I could see Houston, Minnesota, or Cincinnati trading up because they need wide receivers badly, and all three of them need a wide receiver, and it's all consecutive picks. So, but I don't have any trades in my draft, so I don't do that. But I haven't taken Laquon Treadwell here. They already have that speedy wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins to move down the field. Now they just need Laquon Treadwell. They need a possession receiver. And I think he is a good fit there. It's good that he's not going to be the number one guy because then he'll face the number one corners. And that won't be a good thing because he's not that fast. He ran a 4.65, and I'm not judging that on his 40. About what kind of player he's going to be. But in my number one receiver, I just don't want to possess. I don't want a Ruben Randall as my number one receiver. Let's just say that. I don't want a possession receiver. So yeah, I say take Laquon Treadwell here. And the Minnesota Vikings select Will Fuller, wide receiver out of Notre Dame. I can get that the Minnesota Vikings probably want a wide receiver different from the ones they have already. They want a tall, lengthy wide receiver. But there's not really those kind of players in this draft. They have Laquon Treadwell, but I have him going to the Texans. But, the best wide receiver on the board right now, in my opinion, is Will Fuller. He has great route running ability, great speed, plays the ball very well, can keep his feet in bounds, so on and so forth. So I think you take Will Fuller here. I think he's going to make this offense more dynamic than it already is, and more younger than it already is. They have a lot of young players on that offense. So, yeah. Cincinnati Bengals take Corey Coleman, wide receiver out of Baylor. He's not the best route runner. He's not that guy you're going to see hitting routes, breaking corners, legs, and stuff like that. But he will beat you with speed. He will beat you with his elusiveness. He's the type of guy, in Baylor's system, all he was really doing is running wide receiver screens, flat routes, curl routes, go routes, stop and goes. He was that kind of guy. And in my opinion, that kind of guy is not a number one guy in my opinion. That's why we have A.J. Green for that. So I say you take Corey Coleman here. You have a solid number 2 wide receiver. And he could also, take back, Brennan Tate. I don't know if Brennan Tate's still on that team. He's been there for a while, but he could also take back kicks and punts. So, and if you don't want your star running back like Giovanni Bernard taking back kicks and punts, I say you put Corey Coleman in there. And let him make some plays. So, the Seattle Seahawks select Jason Spriggs, offensive tackle at Indiana. This is another great pick. Another big need that the Seattle Seahawks are needing right now is corner and defensive end. You really don't need a defensive end that badly because you have Michael Bennett, and you don't really need a corner that bad because you have Richard Sherman, arguably the best corner in the league right now, and you've got Jeremy Lane. So you got 2 solid cornerbacks there. You don't really know how Jeremy Lane is going to perform this year, but I think the biggest need right now is offensive tackle because you don't have anybody there. You're pretty much most of your offensive linemen, left, and you've got some scrubs on that line. So I think you take Jason Spriggs here. I don't really know where you want to put him. If you want to put him at left, you want to put him at right, wherever you want to put him. But I think you need him here. He's a fast and shifty offensive lineman, none that I've ever seen before, and he's really going to help out with Russell Wilson's scrambling ability and still protecting for him even when he's out the pocket. So, yeah, you take Jason Spriggs here. The Green Bay Packers select Reggie Ragland, inside linebacker out of Alabama. This is a perfect match as well. You need Reggie Ragland. He's going to stop the run. He has let me just say that he has some poor pass coverage, but his run coverage is great. It's outstanding. And you could afford to take Clay Matthews and switch him back to outside linebacker and put Reggie Ragland in inside linebacker. Let Clay Matthews do his thing on the outside. It's probably the best bet for Green Bay right now. Clay Matthews also doesn't have that very good pass protection, and his best position is that outside linebacker. So why would you take him out of that area? So I would put him back at outside linebacker and put Reggie Ragland in the inside. And Reggie Ragland would be a great fit for Green Bay, I'll tell you that. Kansas City, taking Jarron Reed, defensive tackle or defensive end out of Alabama. You just need to get younger at that, on that front seven. So that's all I gotta say right there. And they need some young front seven players. So there you go. Carson, Arizona Cardinals select Andrew Billings, defensive tackle out of Baylor. Same deal. They need to get younger on the front seven, linebackers or linemen. And I don't have Sheldon Rankins in the first round for me. He's not a first round pick in my opinion. He's not that typical defensive tackle that I want. He's a hybrid player. To me, you don't get hybrid players in the first round. You don't really know what to do with them, because they're good at everything, but they're not the best at one thing, and that's not what you want in a first round pick. Sheldon Rankins has some problems getting past, the double team. He is getting past some good guards. He has the pass rush ability, but does he have that run defense? You guys could tell me on the film he has good run defense. I don't see it very well. He has good run defense when the players are coming to him, but can he move offensive players out the way and get to the running back? We'll see. But in my opinion, he's not a first round pick to me. He's a good second round, third round pick to me. He's gonna fall. But away from Sheldon Rankins. Andrew Billings, a typical defensive tackle. I like him. Not many people like him. I love him. But he can stop the run. He could disrupt that offensive line. That's all they really need right now. And they gotta get younger on that line, and in the front seven. So Carolina Panthers select Carl Joseph, safety out of West Virginia. By far the best safety in this draft. You can't have Von Bell is scared of contact. Carl Joseph is the complete opposite. He makes people afraid of contact. This guy will hit you with everything he has. When the ball's in the air, he'll smack the ball out the way. The ball's in the air and you try to catch it, he has such great speed as well. He also can catch the ball. He also can catch the ball pretty well. So I think if you pair him up with Kurt Coleman, that'll be a dynamic safety duo. You put Carl Joseph in the box on running downs, so on and so forth. I love the idea of Carl Joseph being a Panther. The Denver Broncos select Paxton Lynch, quarterback out of Memphis. I mean, what person in the mock draft doesn't have Paxton Lynch going to Denver? I mean, this is obvious right now. I think Paxton Lynch belongs in Denver right now. He is almost exactly like Brock Osweiler. I'm talking about weight and height. Exactly like him. So if they found something to do with Brock Osweiler, to do the same thing with Paxton. And for Paxton being the size of Brock Osweiler and Ben Roethlisberger and stuff like that, Paxton Lynch also has some legs on him. He can run with the ball. So, every quarterback usually runs with the ball in college. Will he do it in the NFL? I don't know. But I think he could and he should. But Denver should get Paxton Lynch here. I don't think they're going to have Mark Sanchez as their quarterback. Or Colin Kaepernick. I think they'll just be, if Colin Kaepernick goes to the Denver Broncos. But, yeah. That's it, guys. I hope I explained everything well. If you need me to explain anything more, just ask it in the description. In the comments. And let me know what you guys think. What's your favorite team and who do you think they're going to draft? That's what I want to know from you guys. But, yeah. I'm out. Bye.